Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cosmere Connections. We're a bunch of book-loving nerds looking back and rereading the entire Brandon Sanderson series involving the Cosmere. My name is ReaderWarrior. I am joined by Swiggity Swoo.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Swiggity Swoo.
I am joined by John.
Hi, everybody!
And I am joined by Kay.
Hey, this is Kay.
And today we are going to be reviewing the first 4 chapters of Mistborn, The Final Empire, Part 4, Dancers in a Sea of Mist.
Ain't that swanky?
So what did we think?
I think we should just get down to fisticuffs and make it happen.
Just start.
So, a quick warning to our listeners. If the book has been a little bit dark or a little bit grim undertones prior to this point, all bets are off starting now. This is where the proverbial hits the fan, right? Like, we're still gonna die. So
Things get bad. Things get
very
really bad.
Yeah.
You could say that.
So the chapter 26 opens up with Vin waking up with a headache to end all headaches. It's been 2 weeks since she did her pewter drag with Kelsier to go and try and intervene in the battle between the army and the various garrisons that had collected. It was a slaughter, but they did find some people, and we find out that it took a day roughly to get there and 2 weeks to get back at normal people speeds. Eventually Vin gets up, has her bath, and she thinks about how she has grown very accustomed to the luxuries of a bed and having a bath drawn for her and all of these sorts of things, and how much she's changed in the last however many months since she's been with the crew. Finally, she makes her way downstairs, and she plays the part of clubs for a little while and puts on her full-on grumpy mode. Everybody kind of looks at her, and like she's looks like something the cat dragged in, and she demands ale. Give me ale.
That's a good callback too.
Mm-hmm.
It is, because she asked for ale very early on in Cayman's lair.
Yeah, she's like, I like it.
I like it a lot.
The crew asks what her thoughts about the plan are, and she's like, yeah, plan over, army gone. There's not much left, and what is left can be done pretty much by Kelsier himself. We're redundant. And they're all like, well, aren't you just a little cup of cheer?
Dude, you right.
I love
Which, of
annoyed
course...
Vin.
Yeah, right? And, of course, talking about a little cup of cheer summons Kelsier, who is like, game on, boys, let's do this thing. And they're like, are you mad? And he's like, right, let's do this. But they don't get very far before they are interrupted because something's going on in the city and Spook has come to tell them. So they leave to go watch what turns out to be executions. All of the men of Luthadel are required to come and watch, be they noble, ska, whatever.
Is it men as in actual males or men as in just the term for people?
I think it's people.
It didn't really specify, but I could see it going either way. I remember thinking that same thing when I was reading it. It doesn't really specify.
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I never considered that. I assume it's just like for people, right? I mean, why would you only have the men come down? That doesn't really make sense.
But I mean, they're also like, they all have to be packed into the center of the city.
Right.
So.
And it's an enormous square. In fact, the crew actually goes to find a rooftop to watch from so that they can see over everyone. And this is where the magic system gets a little wonky for a minute.
We're better than you.
Well,
can I just say before we move on, I really like the detail that a lot of ska would come just because it meant they didn't have to go to work while they were watching the executions.
It's only men. It is only men.
okay.
Wow.
Because there's a comment that says like Luthadel wasn't like most other cities. Its population was enormous. Even with only the men in attendance, there was no way everyone would have a view of the executions.
There you go.
Okay.
Mysteries resolved.
The Lord Ruler is sexist, confirmed.
Dooby-dooby-doo.
Well, with everything else he is that really a big surprise?
No.
Just another layer.
Right? It's another ist for the Lord Ruler.
There's always another layer of sexism.
So, Dox pays a shopkeeper to get access to the roof of the shop for the crew, and it's not long before the big Lord Ruler shows up in his big black carriage of impending doom.
I do want to
And-
point out before this is that Vin points out her father to Kelsier.
Yes, I do have notes in that in here, but I must have mixed up the order of things.
Yeah.
But
He's
yes,
the-
Vin points out to Vidian, who is the high Praelit?
Who
Braylon.
is like the high, like head honcho.
He outranks
About
the
as high as you can
Inquisitors.
get without being a Steel Inquisitor.
He's above the Steel Inquisitors.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which, if we're going off
Which-
of like power levels, like the fact that Vin got her allomancy from him is probably why she's super strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
It's also kind of gives us a clue as to why the Inquisitors might have been so interested in her if they suspected that. You know, if they had some inkling that, you know, somebody in the obligators had fathered a half-breed, you know, that would be why they were so diligent, or it could be
It's a big
reason,
scandal.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So as the Lord, oh yeah, here it is. They spot Vin's daddy pants, who turns out to be the highest ranked obligator of them all.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
So as the Lord Ruler rolls through in his carriage, there's a visible wave of just numb emotion that rolls through the crowd. And even as far removed as the crew is, they can all feel it. So Kelsier asks Clubs to smoke the group. And things get a little odd here, because at this point, Vin realizes that Kelsier is rioting everyone's emotions to try and struggle against the soothing of the Lord Ruler. So Vin tries to help him out. But that means that Vin and Clubs are smoking, which means they shouldn't be affectable by emotional allomancy. And then Vin is also rioting, and so is Kelsier. And we don't know for sure, but we could also kind of assume that Kelsier is smoking too. So 3 layers of Copper Cloud and 2 layers of rioting, and the Lord Ruler is still so powerful that they can feel the effects of his soothing.
Vin only thinks that she feels it. And I think even later they comment, like, no, it wasn't actually. You're just feeling the pressure of the Lord Ruler. The others probably are, because the Copper Cloud doesn't. The Copper Cloud hides their pulses, but only if you yourself are burning copper. It protects you from emotional allomancy. So the others can still be affected by it, but
Vin also makes a comment that rioting the others' emotions feels like hitting a brick wall.
Oh wow.
Right.
That's good imagery for how powerful that it's not really, is it soothing, I guess?
yeah,
Yeah,
it was soothing.
because he's deadening the emotions all around. Like, and it's so strong that as he moves through, you can see people just kind of slouching and giving up. Like,
Yeah. That's what Spook was
Which
doing,
is kind of
right, and that's what I was just gonna say. Based on the way Spook reacts to this whole thing, you can see that this is big mojo, right? This is like something
kind of funny.
we've never seen before.
Well, it's kind of, I guess it's a nice detail that we notice, like our 3 main characters kind of all are introduced by soothing. Finn had her luck, in which she was using that sparingly. Then when Kelsier shows up at her crew, he does the entire room, which Finn is like, wow, this is amazing. Now we've got Lord Ruler doing it to an entire city.
Yep. And Breeze actually makes a comment how even at his best he can do maybe a couple of dozen people, and the Lord Ruler here is soothing thousands. So as they're having this debate, lost my place in the notes. So as they're having this little interplay of allomancy, the prisoner carts finally roll up, and 4 people are brought out, put on the block, and beheaded into the fountain. And this goes on for an unspecified amount of time, the whole while the crew is talking about, this is what we're fighting, this is what we're working against, this is why we're doing what we're doing. And Kelsier's basically telling everybody, look, if you want out, that's fine. But if you're in this, this is what we're in this to end. Shink, 4 more heads.
It was never.
I
about
counted
the
it.
money.
I counted. There were, how many people died? 42 people were specifically said to have died.
And that's just the ones that they call out. So
Yeah.
And these aren't like people who were affiliated with the Ska Rebellion either. These are just random people.
They're women and children.
Mm-hmm.
But not
It
the
is.
families of the army or anyone in specific. It's just indiscriminate women and children, right?
Yeah.
It's just people they randomly went by, pulled them out of their house, threw them in a cart, put them up on this, plinth on this podium, or, by the fountain. Whack, 4 heads, gone into the
Just to
fountain.
show who's still in charge.
Oh, that was a nice detail.
Thousands of people there by force, by law, to witness these executions. Holy dark Batman. Wow.
Also, we get to see a whole bunch of Steel Inquisitors all sort of just waiting around
That's
for the
true.
Lord
I
Ruler.
think it was, what, 8?
8.
12?
8.
Yeah.
8. So we see and we have seen how powerful these characters are, and they're just there waiting for the Lord Ruler and acting as just executioners, further establishing the power level of this character.
Yeah, it'd be like
This
if
is
you just had
also
like a bunch of tanks like roll in with you, basically, or
Right.
something, right?
Yeah. This is also the first time that we've seen the Lord Ruler, which is exciting.
Yeah, I like that. I like
As
how
the
it's
Lord
like so
Ruler.
late, but and we
Yeah.
see like he's there. Obviously, he's in the chariot, but we don't get to see him. We still don't know what his deal is. Like he's
Mhm.
so mysterious. He's just behind everything. Like I love that detail.
It's almost not even like a character, it's more like a force.
Right.
I
For
also
all
like
we
that
know,
his-
there could be 30 soothers in that cart, just all like full blasting their power to have the same
Yeah.
effect and be a hoax. Like we don't know at this point. We
I
just
do like
assume
that.
that's the Lord Ruler.
We don't know
And
if
the
he's
only-
all powerful. Even like he could just be a guy. Like we have no idea.
Well, we have Kelsier has talked about encountering the Lord Ruler in person before, so we do know he's a single powerful being.
Yeah,
But
I guess that's true.
holy
If you believe
cats.
Kelsier.
So Kelsier makes the point of, we can still do this, right? This is still doable, because what was the whole point of the army? To get the garrison out of the city. Where's the garrison? They're out of the city hunting down the remnants of the army. And what is the garrison made up of? Mercenaries, right? They're Ska that have decided they would fight for money. So with the garrison out of the city, all they have to do is get into Predikshaw and steal the Atium, and then they have all the money. So who are the mercenaries going to work for? Them. By Joe, we can make this work. And on that note, everyone kind of seems to sort of rally a little bit emotionally. Like they're like, you know what? Yeah, we can do this. We can actually make a difference. Let's go. Let's do this. Despite everything, they're ready to go. Despite the heads turning the water in the fountain red in front of their faces,
Mm.
they're going to make the difference, and they're going to take the Lord Ruler down.
Yeah.
That's such good symbolism too. Just like the water running red with the blood of the Ska. Like the white horses pulling the Lord Ruler's chariot, like death rolled in on a white horse. You know what I mean? Like it's just perfect.
Mhm.
It is.
I hate to ruin your imagery, though. I'm pretty sure the Kelsey are talking about the garrison is out there back at the clubs now.
Wait, what's this?
I think
They might be. You might be right. I don't have a note about it. I don't remember them leaving, but
I thought they went back to Clubs' shop. I could be wrong. But I thought
you
they
could
went
also
back.
be right. I'm not sure. I don't remember them leaving, but maybe they did.
Well, there's like a part where they all kind of get rallied and it becomes easier for Kelsier to riot their emotions against the soothing. And then they do go back to Clubs' shop and they start discussing further like what they're actually going to do.
they do go back to Clubs' shop, but it's at the start of the next chapter.
Okay.
And I like that no one
Speaking
will
of
touch
the
the
next
bear
chapter.
wraps.
No, I'm just confusing where you end and I begin.
That's fair. So
This
I'm
chapter
officially
was-
done.
I would like to point out that all of the nobles there, that some of them were like treating it like an event that they were going to see.
Oh yeah, they were joking
They're
and
like
kind of
they're
like
joking and kind of laughing. But Ben also looks and sees that Elend is sitting with his friends, and they are not talking. They're not laughing. They're upset with it, and they don't like it.
Or she thinks they are.
Or she thinks that they're upset and that they don't like it.
Yeah, they're not
That's
visibly
what
having
it-
fun.
Yeah.
After all, the Lord Ruler is actually Ellen this whole time.
That's why we
Spoiler.
don't see him. That's in the chariot, right?
Yeah, let's go on 1984 on this.
Okay. Do you want to
Who
go,
is
reader?
watching?
I don't know. I wonder if the 42 thing. I counted 42. I've went back a couple of times. That was the number I got. I wonder if that's a reference to
Hitchhiker's
Hitchhiker's-
Guide to the
Yeah.
Galaxy.
I don't
Maybe.
know.
Who
That'd be a
knows?
pretty obscure like.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the secret of the universe.
Uh-huh.
Decapitating 42 random civilians.
There's always another secret.
There's always another secret.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't rule
Okay.
it out.
True. We cannot rule anything out.
We can't Lord Ruler it out. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, I think we need to move on past that.
I got more. I can keep going.
No.
We're all a little punchy tonight.
Chapter 27. So the epigraph starts off with us seeing that Roshek, the terraceman who doesn't really like the Lord Ruler, is a racist and believes that only a true terrorist can be the hero. Yeah. The crew comes up with a new plan. The house war is paramount now. If enough nobles die, then the government might collapse. Financial strain is going to be the best. Vin wants to protect Ellen, but his father definitely needs to die, which I agree.
Yeah.
And now she needs to listen in intently if Ellen mentions finances. Sazed arrives early and says their troops are hidden. Kelsier wants Dox and Ham to train them and to find more. Marsh is in town and wants to meet. Kelsier grabs Vin to go with, which is a nice little comparison to last time when Kelsier really went out. Let's see. We do another little skip. Kelsier has a secret plan, but believes in the 11th metal. He says that the Lord Ruler, while powerful, is not a god. Vin counters and says she felt his push on her emotions, but Kel says it isn't possible, and that it's likely she was just seeing it emotionally, not elementically. Vin wonders why he doesn't test the 11th metal, and he explains that burning non-elementic metals can make you sick or die, which is really great because you can't just, here's a vial with every metal on Earth, throw it back, see which ones work. She asks about whether Feruchemy or Allomancy is stronger, and it's actually a matter of skill. Allomancy means power whenever needed, while Feruchemists need to store it. Feruchemists have unlimited power, while Allomancy has a limit. Vin Fear gives her a vial in case something happens, and he says Sazed is almost done with the transcription. Vin asks about the secret 9th metal that we have been waiting on for a while. And it turns out it is the most basic one you could think. It is gold. And Kelsey warns that it's weird, but gives her some. So this is the second high metal. Which, boy, is that right. She burns it and sees two versions of herself. the woman she is now, and someone uncaring. We kind of see what would have happened if Finn had survived the beating that she was getting in the first couple chapters, and we see kind of here's what she would have been. Kelsier explains that it lets you see another version of yourself if you made different choices. Unlike the basic 8, Gold and ATM are just related because they're time travel-y. Kelsier says his trainer, Gemmel, and this will be the only time we really mention him, said a Gold Shadow is a person who doesn't exist but could have. Marsh arrives, now with eye tattoos, very similar to the Obligators and Steel Inquisitors. His infiltration is going well, and he even told the Ministry that he is a Seeker. I wonder how that went over.
So he's in the Canton of Inquisition.
Mhm.
Sounds like they're
So he's
loving
right. He's in the lion's den. He reveals that there are actually soothing stations that constantly push on emotions of Scott in the city, which that's kind of like propaganda, but worse.
him.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Like, Kelsier asks for a list. Marsh says he will try because the higher-ups like him. Inquisitors, any comments about Inquisitors that they are changed people and that they do age, but they are all full Elemancers. Kelsier wishes him good luck. And that was 27.
Nice.
Wee little itty bitty chapter.
Why do I always get the magic system chapters?
I don't know. For the same reason Kay gets all the ball chapters.
Well, I get those because I called them. Speaking of which,
Wait. I want to go back. I want to go back a bit. The gold, which we finally know all 10 medals. I think it was in the last part, right before everything went horrible, when they're all laughing and joking at Clubs' shop. Vin sees a shadow of herself sort of upstairs listening in. And granted, it could all be metaphor. But do we think that maybe Kelsier spiked her drink with gold? Or perhaps there was just gold shavings in that drink, and that she was somehow burning gold?
No,
Yes, Vin
I
was
think
shooting
it was.
Goldschlager.
I think it was just like an imagery, like of where, like you have the feeling of you're like, oh, that was me. That was me so long ago, but that's not me now. Like, I think it was just imagery. I don't think it was.
Something weird I noticed is like, I don't know, she seems kind of pleased with herself in that chapter. She sees this other girl and she's like, I've come so far, you know? I have friends now. But when she actually burns gold and she actually sees herself, she feels like crap. Like she feels weird and sad, and it takes a minute to wear off. I think that's...
She feels like the other person. It's not like you're just seeing the other person, it's that you're seeing both at the same time.
Yeah. I wonder if that's because you're connected to them a little bit at that time.
And with gold, you see two versions of yourself, not just one. You see two.
Yeah, you see who you are now. And
No. She saw two versions. One was a scared little girl who doesn't trust anyone, who is not able to trust at all. And the other one was the girl who has completely forgotten all of the lessons from the street, who drinks things not
drinks from
prepared by
those.
her,
Yeah.
eats food from things that she doesn't know anything about. Like, she's still not like 100% like everyone else, but
I don't see it as like
not.
I don't see it as a triangle where basically the point sees 1 and 2. I see it as there are 2 who you are and who the other person is, and you're sort of looking at a mirror. You're seeing 2, but you are one of the 2.
I differ on that. I think it is you see 2, and you are not one of the 2 that you're seeing. You're seeing 2 other versions of yourself. I thought that that's what it was.
I interpreted that differently. Like, it was you are both seeing one another.
Yeah,
I agree to disagree.
I interpret it the same way as reader. But I do like that idea that like it shows you kind of the minimum and the maximum, if you will, like these 2 avenues of directions and paths you could have taken. Like,
yeah,
that's really
that's cool. I just when she says there are 2 of them, that means including her.
I don't think it means including her.
We can argue about this later. You're wrong.
We have to move
I'm
on.
sorry. Don't hurt me.
So here's a thought that I considered a few times. What happens when you flare gold? Do you get another image? Do you see farther back in time or whatever? Like, how's that work?
Probably.
Go ahead.
That's really weird because there's
Image
not much
becomes
that can.
clearer.
I don't know. I'll take a look on the cover map and see if there's anything.
Yeah, we can discuss that more in the spoiler section, but just something that I thought of.
I am rereading it, and I think it's with gold, and I think it's actually more similar to what John was saying, where like you're seeing yourself and you're seeing yourself, where like you're seeing out of both person's eyes at the same time, and you're looking at yourself.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it, because it,
that's what it appears to be how it's written, where it's like she was in two places at once. She could see herself and she could see herself. So
like looking into a mirror.
Like she's looking at herself from the perspective of her past self.
Of both people.
Of both selves.
Of both selves.
So that's why briefly it's like, oh, she'd drink anything anyone handed to her. That's like what her street ska self would have thought.
Yeah,
like,
that's what
the way she was
the street self is thinking about her. And like, yeah.
Do you think that street ska was also burning gold? And that there's another parallel universe?
No. What? No.
How does the gold shadow have thoughts on this person unless they can see them?
I mean, shades, Mar.
Okay, are we ready to go on to chapter 28?
I think we can do that.
Okay, so this is another ball chapter. Speaking of me always getting in the ball chapters, this is another ball chapter. So she's going around, Vin is going around, and she's spreading rumors about different things. So she goes up to Lady Cliss and spreads a rumor about House Hastings retreating from making preparations to retreat from Luthadel. At the ball, she goes and meets up with Elend. It's clear that this is something that they've gotten into, like this is a pattern that they've been doing. They've been meeting up at the balls at like certain times because he like makes fun of her for being late. And she's like, I'm just picking up habits from a friend. So from some friends.
I wonder who.
Yeah. So during their conversation, Ellen tries to convince her that she needs to leave the city. He is like, Valette, you need to leave the city. It's super dangerous. Like, it's there's going to be a house war. Like, tensions are really picking up. You need to leave. I want to make sure that you're safe. It was very sweet. She tells him that she's going to be fine and that he doesn't need to worry about her. She knows what she's doing. She's not going to leave. And she, in turn, also tells him that he needs to be worried about what Lady Shan is doing. And so she knows that something is going on with Lady Shan and Elend, but she doesn't know what it is. Elend ignores her and continues not to believe her that anything is going on. He's like, Shan's harmless. You don't need to worry about her. She's not going to do anything. Like, calm down. So they are walking around and they talk about they start talking about the Lord Ruler and the way that he is governing the city. And Elend expresses that he does not like the way that the Ska are being treated, and that when he becomes a House Lord, he wants to change things, specifically about the executions. He did not like the executions at all whatsoever. And he wants to change things when he's House Lord. He believes that when he is the House Lord, he can maybe put pressure on the Lord Ruler to change things for the better.
Can I just say, I really like how Alan puts it when he's like, the executions of the Ska are just going to make people more angry. It's just going to make people more upset. Like, that's not going to help. It's not gonna keep people down.
Yeah, and he's right.
100%.
And Vin asks him if he wants to overthrow the Lord Ruler, and he is like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "So you do want to overthrow the Lord Ruler?" And he's like, "Where the hell did you get that idea from?" "No, what? We can't overthrow him. He's God. What?"
Huh?
Like, "No, I want to try to change things. Like, I do want to try to change things, but like, why would I want to like overthrow the Lord Ruler? That doesn't make any sense."
I don't think
That's
it's
crazy.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's I don't want to. It's like that doesn't even register
That's
in my mind
yeah,
that
that's not
that's
a thing that
feasible.
yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Well,
what
like,
kind of idiot would want to overthrow the Lord Ruler? They
ha
would
ha
have to
ha,
be
yeah, right?
insane.
I think that's because they are like, he's going to be in a position to actually inflict some kind of change someday, you know, within the system as it currently resides. He's going to be head of House Venture at some point, and he will have some influence on the way that Venture interacts with people. And you know, he's probably thinking more along those lines. He doesn't have to completely dismiss the entire organization to get some kind of influence in the government, right?
Mhm.
So, Ellen leaves. So they finish their conversation, and Ellen leaves to go talk with his friends. Um, and uh, he again tells her, he's like, "You should really think about leaving, like leaving the city." She's like, "I'll be fine. Bye."
No Ska's gonna get me.
Yeah. So then Vin decides to go talk to Lady Shan to see if she can learn more about her plan. Um, so she goes up to Lady Shan without being requested to go talk to her, and Shan is very much ignoring her. And it isn't until Vin interrupts the conversation that she actually like interacts with her. And she immediately dismisses Vin and tells her that her services are no longer needed. That she is going to find out her own way to deal with Elend, and that she doesn't need Vin's services anymore.
In other words, begone, peasants.
Yeah, literally.
What?
um, so then we switch to Ellen's POV. Ellen's point of view.
The
This is the
gasp.
first time we get Ellen's point of view, which is very exciting.
No wonder why you
So-
wanted this chapter.
He is finished. He is retired for the evening. To the lounge with his friends Jasties, Lee Cal, and Teldon. They're hanging out in the lounge. Valette gets brought up because Elend is just staring into space and thinking, and he's like, "Are you thinking about that girl again?"
He's like, you don't know my life.
Shut
Yeah,
up!
exactly. And
Get on
You
your
Beyond
feet.
can't prove nothing!
And they bring up the fact that it's a little bit suspicious how she's gotten so close to him so quickly. And they don't think that Ellen should trust her. And they think that, yeah, they think that she shouldn't be trusted and that Ellen shouldn't be spending so much time with her, because he doesn't really know that much about her, which, you know, fair. She did tell him that there are lots of things that he doesn't know about her. Um, and they think that she was planted there by another house to draw his attention and to get dirt on him. Oh, I forgot to mention this, is that during their conversation, Elend tells Vin that
About
his
ugh.
family mines the ATM for the Lord
Can't
Ruler.
tell who screws up more in this chapter. Vin, like, you want to overthrow the Lord Ruler, and then Ellen going, "Hey, we do the ATM stuff."
Yeah, so we find out that the Ventures are the ones who run the Pits of Hathsin.
Oh, doesn't he reference Kelsier's
He
escape
does.
too?
He references Kelsier's escape. He's like, something happened a couple years ago,
Yeah,
and
something.
we haven't been able to produce as much ATM. So the Lord Ruler's been getting annoyed with us recently. So his Ellen's friends tell him that they think that she's planted there by another house to draw his attention and to get dirt on him in the Venture house. He tells them that they don't have anything to worry about, but he's a little bit worried. He's like, nah, she's fine. Like, she's good. You don't have to worry about her. And then we have another time jump and Elend has made it back home after the ball. And he is walking in, and his father is like, "Come talk to me." And
Also, he's drunk.
And his dad is being annoying, and wants him to like go talk to has scheduled for him to go to a luncheon with another family to create alliances and stuff against the Hastings. And his father asks if makes it clear that he does not like that Elend has been talking to Vin. He references her as that Renew girl. And it's very clear that he does not like that Elend has been talking to Valette. So Elend drops that he had heard at the ball that the Hastings were going to be leaving the city soon, which is the rumor that Vin had been spreading earlier. And Ellen goes up to his room, and on his way up to his room, right before he's about to walk in, there's someone outside the door and is like, "There's a guest for you." So he goes to the drawing room to go meet with Jastes Lical, who's in there, who's his friend from earlier. And his friend is like, and Jastes is like, "You should trust your friends more." Ellen's like, "What what are you talking about?" And Jastes is like, "I had the girl followed. Well, I had them watch for her carriage at the city gate."
And he's like, "You what?"
And he's like, "What?" He's like, "She wasn't in the carriage when it left the city."
Mike.
So Ellen is like, "What?" He's like, "Oh crap. I told her about the ATM. I told her about the ATM." So he's really worried about that. So he immediately goes to his father and asks, in exchange for going to the luncheon tomorrow, to get to borrow 2 spies.
Such a weird thing.
And this is where the chapter ends.
Dun dun dun.
I want to
Uh-huh.
make one
I
note
need
that you
spies.
forgot to mention.
What did I forget?
You forgot 2 things. One is when Ellen returns home, his father's talking with the House Condra, which is what we know Renew to be. So whatever it is, Venture has it as well.
Wasn't that? Oh my gosh! Prepare to write down the timestamp for spoilers. But was that?
Yeah, he
did you get the
said
name?
Tensoon,
Yeah.
It did say
the
the
House
name.
Condra.
Yeah.
And then we
There's
also
nothing.
learned that Straff is a Tinai.
We already knew that Straff was a Tenai.
We did?
Yes,
Yeah,
we learned
from-
that in the
feel
Kelsier
like we
chapter
did.
when Kelsier met him as a beggar.
in the
Okay.
White chapter.
Yeah,
I
in the
just,
Hoyd chapter.
I just didn't apparently get that.
I was in the alleyway, my lord. The whole
Mhm.
time.
The whole time?
I said no such thing.
This is one of those chapters that just like makes you start to panic because it's going sideways and it'll fall just right to fit into that oh no spot, but it's falling the wrong
No.
way.
Yeah. But yeah, so we figured out what the Venture family does. So Vin has figured out what Kelsier wanted her to learn. Here's the question: is she gonna tell him?
Well, we'll
And
have to read
interestingly
chapter
enough,
9 to
It was
figure it
at
out.
the very next possible opportunity. Like, hey, you go find out what the Ventures do. Oh, hey, the Ventures do this. Like,
I was gonna say that, like the next,
instant gratification.
Yeah,
but isn't there a bit of a time skip? Like it's been a couple of weeks.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but it's the next ball.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's the
time
next.
she
And
It's the
it's
next
interacts with it.
chapter.
and it's the next chapter. That's the next chapter. So it's instant gratification for us.
Yeah,
Right.
which
Actually,
especially considering how bad things have been going, we could use a little bit of that.
I think it is a time skip because in that chapter where Kelsier asks about it, I think they mentioned, hey, isn't the next ball at Venture? And then like it wouldn't be
And
at
then we see
Venture
it's at-
because
Hasting.
Yeah, or Tiki or
Ah.
something. I don't know. But he has to go home after that, so like it wouldn't have been Adventure. So I think it is
Mhm.
another.
It was
ball.
not. It was at It was
Hasting?
at no. It was at this ball is at Lee Cal.
Ah,
Tikal. Yeah.
Because the ballroom was shaped like the inside of a pyramid, which I just think
yeah,
is really
what
cool.
the heck?
Yeah.
Do they have
that's
pyramids on
cool.
Skadrill?
Apparently, or at least they know what they are.
That's one of those things that always bugs me in like fantasy books. Like, why do they have a word that traces back to what we have?
Yeah.
Well,
And
I
why?
mean, there's more things that are pyramids than the Great Pyramids of Giza. Like,
Yeah, but
it's a prism, so
Well, but also, Sanderson has made comments about this. Is that how he's writing the books is as if he is like translating them.
right. That's
So
yeah. I
he's
forgot about
gonna
that.
use words that we would understand.
Mhm.
As a way to help make things make more sense to us
It's just
as readers.
that's always been a pet peeve in like fantasy books. Whenever like they make a reference to something and it's so specific to what we have here.
Oh wait, but there's so many words.
Like I can't remember the specific thing. Like somebody said ninja in something, and I'm like, wait a second.
Do they have?
How do you guys
ninjas?
have ninjas?
My
Yeah, I
thing with
can see
that is
that.
there's so many words that are so specific to our world. Like
Right.
you
Yeah.
literally cannot write a book without using them. Like
Yeah.
it's just not feasible.
This really isn't one of those cases anyway, because a pyramid is it's a geometric figure. It's not
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of specific words, I was eating and I wanted to read, but I didn't want to keep like going, looking at the burrito, looking at the book. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have the book open so I can underline things I want. And I'm going to listen to the audiobook so I don't have to actually look at the thing the whole time. Which is to explain how I ended up doing this, where I was literally looking at the book and had the audiobook going at the same time. And I noticed there are differences. There are words that
Yes.
are changed, and it disturbs me now. I don't know what's real anymore.
It's different printings. So the audiobook is the first edition of the book, of the printing.
That makes a
So
lot of sense.
as they have gone through, they have made slight edits to make things make more sense. Like there's a mistake in book 2 that they they mixed up
The metals.
the
Metals.
metals that Clubs burns. They said he would burn bronze instead of copper, or brass instead of copper. So where they mixed that up, so they in the
Gotcha.
audiobook it still says that. It says the mixed up one, but in newer editions they fixed that mistake.
I
Alright,
think
that
I
makes a
remember
lot of
something.
sense, yeah.
I think I remember this being a thing that happened recently with the Skyward novellas as well. That the people who got the audiobook for the first one, don't remember what it was called. But like they were listening to it as they read it, and there were a lot of differences. And I
Like,
guess it
which
just
one is
has to do
canon?
with, yeah, I guess it has to do with like, okay, here's the first draft. Get it in audio format so we can have it ready for release by the time Brandon is done polishing it.
A lot of
Yeah.
it too was like he'll use the phrase he paused. Like I noticed it was I think they went through and they realized, okay, I'm saying that a lot, and I think they changed that specifically. So every time, Ellen would pause, it would say, oh, he hesitated, or he had this look in his eye, they would just change it to something more descriptive. So I
Yeah.
think they're changing it for the better.
Yeah. It's just slight differences
tweaks.
from between editions.
Updates, update, new patch.
Yeah. All right. Chapter 29, Swiggity.
So chapter 29 starts with an epigraph talking about how the Lord Ruler doesn't understand why Quan denounced him, or the author of the book, you know what I mean. He mentions he would probably execute him if he knew where he was. Vin is reading the book, and it talks about how Rashik is jealous and thinks the Terrace people deserve more. The author thinks they have stored up heat, and says that they can't wait for this to be over to live a life of obscurity. The philosophers say he will have more power than any mortal should hold. He will say he'll have the power to destroy the world or save it. So this is actually the last entry of the book, and Vin at first has this kind of dramatic scene where she's like, well, I need to know more. I gotta find out how this thing ends. And she's trying to look for Sazed, and he's like, I translated the whole thing, so you're just gonna have to wait. Or never know.
And she's like, what?
Yeah, that's
It's
it.
Not fair!
There's nothing about the 11th medal. The best part was the terrorist stuff. Which, that's kind of what Sazed says. He's like, yeah, I mean, I feel guilty because a lot of this was about the terrorist culture, which I know basically nothing about, even though I'm terrorist. Anyways, Vin is worried that her newfound life will slip away after the job. Sazed tells her to have hope for the future, and mentions a people called the Astalzi, who believed everyone had a finite amount of luck, which I thought was pretty cool because in the beginning of this, Vin referred to her ability to soothe his luck, and she did
Finite
indeed
amount
have a
of
finite amount of
Bad luck. Bad luck.
Yeah, and then Vin kind of counters with, well, if you have a finite amount of bad luck, wouldn't that mean you also have, like, a finite amount of luck? And I think,
Good luck as well.
right. It's not super important, I think, to the plot. Just a cool detail. It's like, they're talking about a finite amount of it, and it's, like, kind of calling back, I think.
It was actually the inspiration for Nalthus and the Warbreaker books.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
We should talk more about that in the spoilers section. So Sazed explains about Feruchemy in this one. He's talking about how it can be used to store more than just memories. You can store your weight, you can store your health, you can store your age. And we learn that different metals store different things. Vin, learning that the powers are similar to allomancy, tries to burn metal from one of Sazed's metal mines. Sazed gives her a pewter stud, or he gives her some pewter, and she says she can feel the power, but she can't access it. Like there's a wall. And Sazed says that that's basically what happens if you try to burn somebody else's metal mines. It's kind of the same thing.
Which that
You try to
establishes.
use.
Right, not try to burn, sorry. If you try to, like, tap someone's, right. Burning is allomancy.
Establishes this cool little wall that prevents Feruchemy from getting too overpowered. Like hundreds of people can store everything into one, and then one person can tap that. Like it establishes you only get what you put in.
Maybe someday we'll learn the actual mechanics of how that works.
Yeah.
But for right now, it switches to Kelsier's point of view. Kelsier has to sneak into his own estate, basically, because he's sneaking into Renew's mansion. And he thinks, like, wow, it would be pretty easy for an assassin to get in here. And he wants to move Vin to Club's shop from now on. But he's, for some reason, not worried about Renew, because the conjurer's nature is such that he wouldn't have to fear being stabbed to death. So we switch to another scene where the crew is looking at a detailed map that Marsh left them, and it's basically showing all the soothing stations. And they decide that they need to take these out, because the Ska will never rise up and rebel if they're constantly being, diluted in this way. So they decide to hire a bunch of, thieving crews to get this job done. They're going to try to take them all out in a coordinated effort, much like Order 66 in Revenge of the Sith. I wrote that down.
Order 66.
Breeze and
Sorry,
Dox
that's
are
my
told
favorite.
to accompany Ham with the army in case Ham is taken out, and Kel sidesteps questions about why he won't be taking over the army if Ham is out of the picture. Vin does not mention that House Venture is mining the Atium when asked if she's learned anything important about the Noble House balls, which is calling back to that earlier chapter.
Mhm.
So
I do like that Kelsier is like, she's too damned good a liar. I can't tell if she's lying to me or not.
yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, Mare would have loved her," which is
Aw,
awesome. It made my heart.
it makes me sad.
I know, right? So, Sazed and Kelsey are talking later in this chapter, and Sazed describes the Bennett people to Kelsier, who were from the Southern Islands, and basically that doesn't really work for Kel because they. Wait, am I getting this confused?
They were just travelers, right?
Yeah, I think, okay, so he describes something to him and he's like not having it, but he wants to know about these people called the Vala. And the Vala remained the longest after the Lord Ruler's ascension. Say says that despite their leaders being killed, this only made the followers fight harder and resist longer. Say says it is the nature of hope, and Kelsier says he needed to hear that he needed to hear that basically. Like, people will fight on even if their leader is killed, even if like they seem hopeless. There's always going to be that fighting spirit in people.
Belief is often strongest when it should be weakest. That is the nature of hope.
Yeah,
That's a good line.
It was a good line. Love that line.
it's beautiful. The Bennett people were explorers. They felt like it was holy to cartographer the world, right?
Mm-hmm. I thought that once they mapped out everything, the path to the heavens would open or something. That's extremely paraphrasing, but
Right. One thing I thought was cool about the Vala people was that their leaders had to have theological training. So,
Mhm.
I mean, Kel was
Also
like,
we
but there's
learned
no mutinies.
also we learned that the Inquisitor, and 100% it's still the same Inquisitor, is still chasing Vin.
Oh, right. Because of the map, right?
Theron's crew was hit
Yeah.
the other day. Which is the crew that was, if you remember, it was the crew that was partnered with Cayman's crew on that
Way
ministry
back.
job way back.
Months
So
back for
it's
this
still that
podcast.
it's that same Inquisitor that's been chasing us for years.
Yeah, so that's pretty much 29.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love the Feruchemy stuff. But we finally get some answers.
Says
Yeah.
it's very
It wasn't too much of a mic drop for me because, like when I first read this, because you kind of pick up on what it does as you're reading, right?
Mhm.
Like just through Sazed's actions and things that are.
But
Yeah, but
it's nice to actually get like confirmation about like what it does stuff.
mhm.
Yeah, and it's cool.
Even for
Like, oh, you can go ahead.
after you, your chapter.
I think it's cool that she tries to burn some of Sazed's medals. Like, that's like the first thing I thought of too. Is like, well, what would happen if you tried to tap that? Like, could you even?
Nope.
I love that stuff.
That's not your power. That is my power.
Sazed's like, if they could take that from us too, then they probably already would have.
Yeah.
All in all, fairly good chapters.
Mhm.
Just mainly recovering from last time and continuing the plan.
Also, brutal murder. A lot of
Yeah, a
brutal
lot of
murder.
42 murders.
You got magics being explained. You got executions happening. You got bay raps. I mean, this has been an exciting couple of pages here.
You got Ellen thinking that Vin's gonna be a spy, which she is, but not for the reason he thinks.
Yeah. She is a spy, just not not why you think she is.
Is there anything else we would like to comment on these 4 chapters?
Not in this section.
Yeah, I got some spoiler stuff.
Yeah.
So we're all good?
I'm good.
Okay, then. We're going to head off into the spoiler section then. If you have not read the Mistborn series and this is your first read-through, we highly recommend you stop here. Otherwise, if you are fully knowledgeable in the Cosmere or in the Mistborn trilogy, feel free to follow us. We hope you had an excellent night, and we hope to see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Adios.
See you next time.
See you later.
Meow.
And with that, we're back. Oh, I feel we're going to just talk about the Lord Ruler this chapter, this section.
Not exclusively. I've got another thing. Another thought. I may have brought it up before, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But
What would you like to say?
I was thinking, as we were discussing it, that maybe some of those, like, hallucinations that Vin is having, where she's, like, seeing herself in the, sitting on stairs or whatever, and where she thinks she can still feel the Lord Ruler soothing her emotions and all that stuff. Could that just be like Ruin, like reaching into her thoughts through the stud, like?
I believe.
Well, the thing with
believe
the Lord
the-
Ruler is that he can push on their emotions through their copper cloud.
But I would
Right.
say Vin seeing herself, I believe that's all metaphor. Like, I made the joke about burning gold and it being spiked in her drink, but I 100% that's just Vin remembering herself. As for the thing with the copper, that's the Lord Ruler actually breaking her copper cloud. Like, he's actually messing with her emotions. So I don't think Ruin is messing around. We have not had Ruin poking around that much recently.
Well, and that's why I say that's part of why I say that anyway, because like there's so much mystical I don't want to say the word I want to say, but the mystical
Mumbo
messing
jumbo.
around with. Yeah, there you go, sure. There's enough stuff that can be poked and prodded and manipulated and twisted and turned that, I mean, who knows what's part of this magic or that magic or this shard doing these shenanigans and
I would almost think like he's just like sitting back and like trying to see where the dominoes fall. So he's got to take his next move.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's done what he's done, but he needs to. Okay, we'll see if this takes out the Lord Ruler, and if that works, then it's free reign, basically. But if it doesn't, then I've got to really quickly figure out something in the next year.
I think Ruin definitely has other plots going on besides.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I
Like-
can't really remember. Like, I'm trying to remember what Ruin's whole plan was. Like, is he working on Vin all throughout this book?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and he is also the one who he was manipulating Kelsier's master, and introduced the myth of the 11th metal to Kelsier. Planted that myth of the 11th metal so that Kelsier would find that and inspire him to go try to defeat the Lord Ruler,
Mhm.
so that Kelsier would kill the Lord Ruler for him.
Gosh, that's
Which half
devious.
works.
He's also at this point arranged spikes to be planted in several other people, including one Zane and
Yes, Zane has his spike at this point.
Mhm.
guy who becomes the citizen. I don't know if he's got it yet, but he's in the process of arranging it.
I don't think he has it yet, but
I don't
think
think
it
so
is.
either, but I know like it's being
because
set up.
it's not until after Kelsier becomes the survivor that inspires the citizen to do what he's doing.
Let's see, that's 26. What about Marsh becoming an Inquisitor?
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's coming up soon.
He's just slowly like, he's like, yeah, they really liked me. They liked that I was a seeker. They were like,
and my nickname is Iron Eyes.
Check out these sweet tattoos I'm getting. Like, it's just getting closer and closer.
They're talking about like benefits and stuff. Like I get to live a while, maybe some dental.
Yeah. They're like really interested in me for some reason.
I'm into them. I'm kind of into them.
Yeah. So that's not.
But it is also like, how far will you go to destroy the thing you hate? Like, and will you eventually become that thing based off of your own desire to destroy it? I like that theme of it.
Something dark side.
Do it.
Yep.
What about the fact that Rashek was right that the hero of ages would be Terrace?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Like there was a lot of setup in this that I think goes underappreciated.
Well, and there was, I think it was in this set of chapters. He talks about in the epigraphs how Rashek feels that the Terrace people should be dominant. Right? Wasn't that in one of these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that word comes up all the time because they're the different dominances, and the Terrace people should be dominant, and he should dominate these other people. And it's like anytime you hear that word, that's like a cue. Like, okay, this is what we should be thinking about right now. It's this guy, and just a thing.
Let's see.
That is weird, though.
We got, let's see, in chapter 28, we got more imagery of the deepness, which is, of course, Ruin. Vin wore white. It's not Ruin, but it kind of is. I know it's the Mist, but it's being pushed on by Ruin. It's Ruin on a technicality.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get through my notes. The dress Vin wore to that last one was white. Vin wore white today.
She was to kill a king.
Yeah.
She was to kiss a king.
To flirt with a prince.
Yeah.
She didn't kiss him, though.
No, they decidedly did not do that.
Yep.
Which was kind of disappointing.
Wasn't with the wanting of the thing.
That was good street slang, dude.
Thanks.
Wow.
Very good. Nicely done.
Very nice.
Which eventually becomes very noble talk.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
We've got Tensoon getting name dropped.
Yeah.
On my second reread, I was like, no.
Yeah, that's mind blowing. That's insane. Come on.
I definitely did not notice that for the longest time. I only think I just noticed it on this reread that Tensoon popped up there.
Same.
I've read these books like 7 or 8 times. I don't even know how many times I've read these books, and it's like
I didn't even realize that they mentioned the word Kandra. Like,
right?
Yeah.
I think this is my 3rd or 4th time through, and the number of things that I'm noticing now because I'm actually paying attention and taking notes rather than just enjoying the story, Like
they've said Kandra 4 or 5 times now. and you never read it on your first time.
Yeah, right. So I don't know what that is. Probably some rank.
Yes.
I
I have.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
after you.
I was gonna wonder if this is kind of going back a little bit, but I was wondering if, like, in chapter 26, they were accusing Kelsier of, like, you were never really gonna get us rich, right? Like, you just wanted to make yourself a legend. Was his plan always to destroy the pits? Like,
No.
No.
So that changes in this book.
Yeah, he does that as like anger out of he thinking Marsh dies.
It's him
really?
out of anger thinking that Marsh dies, and as a way to, because at that point Vin had told him that the pits were run by the Ventures, and the Ventures were the only house that was still holding really strong
And he
in the
wanted to
city.
destroy the Venture's capital.
Which
So
I did not.
and he wanted to just destroy the pits because
Emotional damage.
Yeah.
emotional damage.
Damage. Which there was that comment by Ellen how the pits hadn't recovered from basically Kelsier's escape. Do we think when Kelsier escaped, he burned and like broke a segment of Hathsin?
Oh
The
yeah,
I would
geodes
that's,
think
there?
so.
Yeah.
That's what I was
how
picturing
else would
too.
he know that Allomancy does that? Like, there
Gemmel
would be no
told
way
him.
for him to know that.
Gemmel told
How
him.
would Gemmel have known?
I don't know.
Gemmel's a G.
Because he's being talked by Ruin. I don't know.
It could be just a known thing. Wait a second.
No, because nobody knows about what happens at the pits. They just know that that's where you go to die.
If you can,
But that means.
Sorry.
But that means at the very least, the workers all know it. The people working there know it. Straff probably knows it. The Lord Ruler knows it. Like, there's quite a bit of people who would know it.
But I mean, the people who are working there like don't leave. Like,
Mhm.
I like to imagine most Mistborn know of it. Because they use
How
I don't
would they?
think
How would they
so.
know though?
Well,
well,
like,
just because you're using it doesn't mean that you know
Right?
how
'cause-
it's
does
gone.
it just destroy the geodes? It doesn't, because, like,
no, it
it
destroys the
destroys
crystals
the-
that form the geodes.
Yeah.
so the actual ATM itself, like, that's what I was going to ask, is if you have, like, an ATM vial and you're using steel pushing or whatever, that's not going to destroy it.
Correct.
No.
Because
It's like
crystals.
it's like a clam with a pearl. If the pearl already exists and you take a hammer to the clam, the pearl will still be there. But if you do it before that, the pearl won't.
But if you go back to that same clam that you've destroyed, you're not going to get another pearl.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
At least for a long, 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 long time. Like 300 plus years, or like 10 years. 10 years of waiting for a book.
Oh no, just 10 years.
Just a couple more months, guys.
Okay, so who do we think got messed up more? Vin almost revealing like she's trying to overthrow the Lord Ruler. Ellen giving away that his family's in charge of the ATM. Or the Lord Ruler keeping Alendi's journal.
Probably the Lord
know-
Ruler, because that actually comes back to bite him.
Fatally.
They all come back to bite, but
I feel like Ellen probably messed up the most here.
I tend to agree with you on that. Just because Vin's slip up didn't change anything that was going to happen, because what was it, Jastes already had sent somebody to follow her, so that was going to prompt an investigation anyway. Whereas without Ellen having slipped up, Kelsier might have never gone to go shatter the crystals
pits.
at the pits. Yeah. So I think at the very least we can say that Ellen's, or possibly the Lord Ruler's, was the most impactful to the overall plot.
I think for the overall plot right now, I think it's Ellen's mess up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I love him, but come on, dude.
Yeah. Pretty
You just
face,
met
but
her.
pretty girl. But pretty girl. She's nice. Pretty girl.
Why
He's
do we
nice.
think... I have a theory on why I think Rashek kept the journal. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
why
Other
do
than
you
stupidity?
think?
I think he was doing it as, like, he obviously did not like Alendi, but maybe in that brief moment, like, he respected him enough that, at the very least, I will keep your journal as a memory to you, so I will remember the fact that you were trying to do something good.
Nope. I don't think that that's the case. I think he was too hateful, too racist about it. I think he kept the journal because it has clues as to what the hero should be seeing, and it's a way for him to keep a record of, okay, every 1,000 years I've got to be watching for this so that I can be ready to take the power and burn it away so that,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like, I think it has more to do with that than it does to any sense of, like, honor that the Lord Ruler has. He's clearly all about number one.
But wasn't it also based around jealousy? And, like, that's why the final empire is based around a lot of Millennium. Millennium, is that the right?
Lenny?
Kaleni. Like, it's based a lot around their building structure. Like, he was really jealous of them.
No, I think it's also I think it's that Rashek wanted to he didn't want other people to become what he was. Being the twin, a full twin born.
Fullborn is the...
A full-born. I don't remember. I couldn't remember what it was called.
You got all
It's not... There's no canon term, but that's basically
I think that he was worried about that and about people finding out that he had both barochemical and the Mistborn power and the Allomantic powers. So he was trying to create a distinction between a separation of himself from the Terrace culture. So he picked another culture that he knew a lot about.
I think there's some of that, but I also think it goes back to that whole thing of he wanted to dominate. He wanted to be the king. He wanted to poo-poo all over the Hellenic culture and everything. And if you wipe them out, you can't do that, right? They're not there anymore for you to lord over. So I think he kept them around so that he could just kind of strut and show off and be like, I'm better than you. You can't do anything about it. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Like, I think that was his bigger motivator. Like, Rashek is petty. He is small-minded. He is brutal.
You don't like the Lord Ruler that much, do you?
I mean, you're not supposed to, for one, and for two, I mean, this is clearly what this is what we read, right? Like, this is what we see of him. Especially in the logbook.
Mm-hmm.
There's some modern parallels that can be drawn to that. But I digress.
Does he think... I mean, he must see himself as kind of the hero of his own story, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, he did save the world, in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
He did save the world.
He guards it now, like, to this day.
Yeah. He is continuing to fight against Ruin and to keep Ruin from destroying the world. That's, like, what he's been doing for 1,000 years.
I got it right here. Sorry.
I say, as he says at the end of the book, you don't know what I do for mankind.
I was just going to say that, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right as he's dying. You've killed me, you have doomed them all.
Yes, that's so cool.
Yeah. I was your god, even if you didn't see it. By killing even if you couldn't see it. By killing me, you have doomed yourselves. I literally have it marked.
There you go.
Sure. I got it here straight from the hero's mouth. I suspect that despite his hatred of the Kaleni people, of whom Alendi was one, Rashek had a deep-seated envy. The terrors of the time were pastoral herdsmen, the Kaleni culture cosmopolitanist. However ironic, it is logical that Rashek's new empire would mimic the high culture of the people he hated. And there's a lot of talk about how the architecture mimics it, the fashion sense is mimicked. Like, yeah.
The logbook has more than just their journey in it. There's like packing lists, and there's techniques, and there's info in there. It's probably his guidebook to setting up the final empire in a way.
Mm-hmm. That would be cool. Like, what if we find it and like he's also been writing in it? That'd be cool.
Yeah, but Sazed has already translated the whole thing, and that's
True.
not how it is.
Plus, like, everyone he knows is probably passed on, like, from that time. So that's his only memory.
Except for...
Also, he has metal mines,
except
so he wouldn't need
except for the Kandra.
It's good.
Except for the Kandra. The first generation.
How often do you think he like pops over to the homeland, just like, "Hey guys, how's it been?"
0%.
They might come visit him.
Undercover boss.
They may have in the past, but I think they're so old now that they don't. I feel like the first 3 generations don't even leave the homeland anymore. I feel like that's
for Tensoon and Orsier, though.
Not very many. So the thirds are generally out on contracts.
Yeah.
The thirds are generally out on contracts because the seconds don't want them in the homeland.
Yeah. And the firsts are, humans, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Humans with diamond bones.
No, not the first.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because, like, that's how the younger generations are being rebellious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, they're making their bones out of weird stuff and kind of, like, elongating their bodies or doing weird things.
Oh, what if they met Milan?
It is Melan.
Oh God, is she around during this
Melan
time?
is there.
She is.
Yep,
Melan,
she is there.
So I don't know if you remember it. Melan is the younger 6th generation Kandra that Tensoon had like mentored.
No way.
She's the one who helps him escape.
Yeah, she's the one who helps him escape.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's a little tidbit that gets dropped in book 5. Is it 5? I don't know. One of the Wax and Wayne books.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was rereading that and I noticed that and I was like, wait, Melan's in this.
Dude, she's old. Wow.
Must be X so young and stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Wayne.
It's kind of weird that her and Wayne are dating.
Yeah, and they're both.
Okay, and just so this is like set in stone, but I predict that Wayne is going to become a Kandra.
What, can that even happen?
No, I don't think that can happen.
Well, the Lord Ruler turned his friends into Kandra.
But I don't think Sazed has enough. I don't think Sazed could do that. I also don't think Sazed would.
I'm just putting it there. My prediction, like we already see, he's already like pretty fluid with her. I'm just saying, him becoming a Kandra at the end of the book.
Immortal Wayne would break the Cosmere.
Oh boy!
Literally. Okay.
Oh man.
I'm gonna talk about the spy that Vin uses. Probably when we actually get his name dropped, because that's a nice little bit of. Yeah. Do you guys not know?
No, I know. You just said Vin and not Elend.
Oh, Elend. Yeah,
that
the
Elend uses.
spy that Elend uses to spy on Vin.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that when he gets name dropped.
Yeah, there's some fun Cosmere shenanigans there.
I do not remember. Oh,
it's okay.
Just say the name.
Felt.
Oh, yeah.
Felt. Oh.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is there anything else? The Astalsi. That was Brandon's initial idea of Warbreaker.
Oh yeah, what? So it's like the people with the finite amount of good luck, right?
Yeah.
That's how he got it, or is he referencing Warbreaker?
I believe he got it from that idea. Sort of how Shakespeare got Romeo and Juliet from Midsummer's Night's Dream.
He's like, I should make that into a full book. What about the Bennett people being kind of like the 17th Shard? Like they wanted to map everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I
could
kind of
see
like
that.
that. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
really cool. I almost wish that I started a counter listing all the different religions Sazed says and how that affects the world. Like
Yeah.
we've seen the anatomy one, we've seen the map one,
The color one.
the colors one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh my god.
He was seeding it the whole time and we never knew.
Mm-hmm.
I still love that, like, you know, these parts of the book where he's talking about the religions are really heartfelt and they're great to read, but the fact that it has such a deeper meaning and relevance to the story is awesome.
Mhm.
I'm
There-
pretty sure I'm out, yeah.
Is there anything else we would like to
Um,
say?
Not that I can think of.
Nope.
Sazed half-handedly commenting that age can be stored.
Yeah. Repeatedly.
Oh, I did have something cool. It's like, if you could tap someone else's metal mines, then the Mistborn universe would basically be Warbreaker, right? Where you'd have like ska or the equivalent of ska, like storing up their health, and then the rich people would be feeding off of it. Like that would totally happen.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Kinda, yeah.
Mhm.
It would have to.
That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything else?
Not that I
No?
can think of.
Mm-mm.
Not right now. anyways.
Kelsier says he's not looking for harmony and says it's talking about religions. And that's all I had.
Okay then. Everybody good? Well, we would like to thank you all for listening into this fun little tidbit of the spoiler section. Next episode, we'll be reviewing chapters 30 through 34. And that'll wrap up part 4. We thank you so very much for listening. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe, whatever. And always remember, there's always another connection. This has been ReaderWarrior.
I'm Swiggity.
I as am ever John.
Okay.
And have a nice night. Ta-da. Are you ready?
I don't see how we could be any more ready.
At this point, we're just dicking around.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like that.
It's fun though. We're having fun, right?
I mean, yeah, that's the important part.
Yeah. Okay, I'm ready. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Do we need to clap?
No, I've been recording for like the past half hour.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, your camera's nice.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not doing the zoom, the focus thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I see Doomslug.
Ah, yes. He's back in the corner.
Doom.
Doom, 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 doom.
Okay.
See, I got
Okay.
I got boom slug on my desk.
Or whenever you're
Aw.
ready, reader, just maybe count down or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll shut up
Everybody sit down and
eventually.
shut up. All right. Ready? 3, 2. Dang it. 3, 3, 3. Shiv.
My brother got me into the Cosmere. He was like, "You gotta check out Stormlight Archives. It's awesome." And I was like, "Okay, if you love it that
Okay.
much, see what this is about."
Yeah.
And then the prologue to Kill just like blew my mind.
My dad and mom gave my sister the trilogy, the Mistborn trilogy. There it is.
Ah, the OG.
Yeah. When we were in middle school. So she read them first, and then I read them afterwards. And I got hooked, and I read them like 3 or 4 times before Way of Kings came out.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, those original copies that we had of those books are held together with packing tape.
I feel that.
That's awesome.
They are very well loved, very read.
Oh, you can get Bridge 4?
What?
You can get.
What are you on?
I'm looking at the miniatures. And you can, a stretch goal is literally Bridge 4, like the bridge from Bridge 4.
It's literally just like a wooden
Yeah.
table that you can set the things on.
Yeah.
Why do I want it,
Yeesh.
though? Why do I
It's
want
capitalism.
I
Because
want
we
to
Because
carry
can.
it.
Because it's fun. It's a fun knickknack that you could put on your wall.
Okay, but
Yeah.
did anyone see Zellion?
Hmm?
This is like, so I don't even know if I should say this, but there is a character
Oh, I saw this.
that's
I
like
didn't see what it looked
not
like.
in the books yet. Like in his name, I guess it's a he probably. It's just named Zellion, and it looks badass.
I haven't seen what it looked like. I didn't see what it looked like. I saw that they had released it, and I saw like the like outline thing.
Yeah,
So he's
I'm
probably
looking at
just
the
one of the
outline.
heralds.
Could be a herald, or it could be like some type of fused. I don't know.
Sounds like a herald name.
Zellion. Well, yeah, I can see that. Is this a thing with the heralds? Like their names, a lot of them are symmetrical except for one letter, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, he's
Yeah.
not a herald because we know all the heralds.
True. And I got no idea.
I was just trying to
He's one of those sky people. There's already a page for him on the Coppermind. Wow.
unsurprising.
They don't mess around.
No, they really don't. Zellion is a shard bearer of unknown allegiance and origins. They are set to have a role in the future, though nothing is known who they are and what role, or what that role is.
Duh.
So you just get a cool picture. That's it.
Ooh, Vire looks cool.
I saw a meme on the Cosmere Facebook group. It was like,
Oh, they
why is
haven't-
he sexy?
Why?
Who knows? Oh
Wait.
no, he's hot.
I thought they were. I was hoping that they would show what Zellion looked like.
There appears to be what I'm looking at now is like a concept art
Where?
I'm on the copper mine now,
Oh, you're on Coppermind.
and it looks like they're in shard plate with a shard blade, but they look decidedly evil.
Oh yeah, that looks very evil.
Could be a Dustbringer. I don't know.
What are we looking at?
Maybe.
Coppermind.
Here, let me.
Zillion.
Give me a second.
I could drop it in the chat too.
I'm just gonna share my screen.
Oh yeah, that definitely
Oh,
looks evil.
very smart.
So yeah, here's the concept art.
That is terrifying.
Yeah. Shard bearer of unknown allegiances and origins.
It is confirmed that they are a new character.
While they are shown to be wielding a white shard blade in the concept art, this is purely a placeholder.
Hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks kind of like that they could be a Dustbringer or
Yeah.
something.
Do we know of any Dustbringers right now? Like,
Yeah,
We know of one.
you know of
are
one.
they with Teravangian though?
Teravangians.
What is her name?
Malata?
Oh, the epigraph for chapter 26 is perfect for tonight. It just says, "I am growing so very tired."
Right? That is truly appropriate.
That's perfect.